This is the Mattel Jurassic World Battle Damage Velociraptor Blue. As the name would imply, simply press the switch on the side of Velociraptor Blue's torso to reveal battle damage underneath. So that we know how big Blue is, we're going to take a tape measure. From the tip to the nose, Blue is 8 inches in length. And for fun, as much as fun it would be measuring a Velociraptor in real life, could you imagine? But from the bottom of its feet to the top of its head, it's 4 inches high. For some scale comparisons as well, here is the Battle Damage Blue, of course we will be looking at in a second. Here is the Spring Leaping Blue that came included with Owen. And here's Battle Pack Blue. So you can see the difference between the 3 dinosaurs. There are variations, there are tweaks to each one of them. Each sort of brings something different to the table. Still really like this one right here, the one that I couldn't quite figure out the feature when we initially looked at it, but simply just holding down the head and it springs up. Again, like each one of them brings something slightly different to the table. This one I think would be the more posable of the 3, but we'll do some comparisons and looking further into those specifics of each one in a second. While we're also at it, I'm going to bring up the camera here and just zoom back a bit. I also so happened to get myself a bag of the new Doritos Blue grilled steak, and what a perfect time, even though this channel doesn't really review food like it, back in the day, I figured it'd be a perfect time to give these a try as well. Now I've already opened them, I've had one, but we're going to grab a couple of these in the process. Again, the Doritos Blue grilled steak to advertise for the new Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. And you've got Blue on the side here. He's reviewing chips while reviewing a Blue toy. Yeah, I am. Here's one of the chips right here. It kind of looks like it's moldy. Like I found this in an alleyway somewhere or in a dark, abandoned household that I luckily bought at a good price. These chips were down in the basement cellar somewhere. But they are made of blue corn, which would describe why they're blue in color, and they're heavily, heavily seasoned. Let's give these a try, and then we'll have a look at Blue here. There is a very slight hint of the steak flavor. I have to admit, though, I taste the steak. I taste a lot of the steak seasoning that one would apply to an actual steak that you're cooking on the barbecue. But it is a very salty chip as well. I don't know if I could polish off a whole bag in one go unless I had a very tall beverage to go along with that. Okay, let's have a look now at Blue. I figured why not? If I was going to review, somebody asked me, why don't you review the new Doritos? I thought I had to shoehorn that in somewhere. But anyways, let's look at the Battle Damaged Blue. Now, not a bad looking representation here of Blue. And we're going to bring in some of those other ones also as comparisons. But here we have a more upright version of Blue by contrast to the more crouching, running Blue that we got from the Battle Pack. And certainly the much more leaning down, leaping Blue that we got included with Owen. The heads are actually similar to one another. The one that has the battle damage, though, you probably can see here, it's got a more very pronounced outlining around the blue, whereas this one here is a little bit more subtle in details. The heads look similar enough, although this one here is a little bit more defined than the more rounded nature of this one. And they both have open and closed mouths, which we can go ahead and open them up. The mouths do seem identical to one another. At the very least, the lower jaw seems different, seems similar. The top part, one can't help but notice there's a little bit more of a ridge and a little bit more of a defined nose area than the more rounded area of the Battle Damaged Blue. Ideally, what I would love to have been able to do, which I can't, is use this head on this body, because I think this is the better looking head of the two blues. It just seems a much more detailed, much darker in color, whereas this one seems a little bit on the lighter side. Speaking of lighter, one can't also help but notice the underbelly of Blue here is a very bright cream color. There is also still that Dino QR code, which I'm going to scan in a second. We'll unlock some more details about the dinosaurs. I don't like, though, that the beige color has run amok. It's gone beyond the point of where it should be, and it's started to wrap its way around the tail. It ends up giving the end of the tail a much more bleached out effect, which I can't imagine would be on every single dinosaur. A lot of these irregularities usually happen where they will obviously be different from dinosaur to dinosaur. It's just the nature of the way that toys are painted. Some toys come out a little bit better than others. This on this side isn't so bad, but it's this side here that looks way too bleached out, and it's just simply a case where the cream color has moved its way over. I thought I could compensate it by adjusting the tail. For starters, I can't. Secondly to that, there's its battle damage. The pattern work would be automatically just broken and slightly shifted if I changed the tail. Now that the cat is out of the bag, so to speak, here's the battle damage on the side of Blue. Luckily, it's not a case where you have to pry a panel off and have it as a loose piece, because ultimately that would be something that you would lose. Instead, they go rather the interesting route where it's a panel that drops itself down into the underbelly of Blue upon impact. So basically, if you flick it or even just tap it, you'll see that the panel will drop down and you'll be treated to a rather bright interior of the damage on Blue. We'll go ahead and press the button here. Again, it's just kind of a simple case of tapping it, and you can see that there's the ripped away now exposed area of Blue's interior there. Very bright. You see these little gashes and rips and stuff like that. And just to bring it up, there's a little tab here. Bring it up, and it locks into place. Until, of course, you want to do it again. There we go. And it pops its way back down. You know, it actually reminds me, and this is where I'm going to date myself for saying this, those old Hot Wheels cars that had the bumper on the front that if it hit something, the bumper would spin and show you a damaged, the damaged bumper instead of a regular bumper. I have one of those cars kicking around. It would have been around from the mid-'80s or so. I just can't for the life of me remember what the name of it was. Posability on the battle damaged Blue. Its legs do move back and forth, but it's the same problem that every other dinosaur will face. You can move the legs, yes, but anything past where it's supposed to be will mean that the dinosaur will topple over. It has to be a certain way. It's easiest actually if you put the dinosaur down on a flat surface and then just kind of adjust it so that you know exactly it's going to stay upright every single time. The arms are a slightly more softer plastic, unfortunately completely void of the darker claws that the feet luckily have. The hands, if you want to call them hands, completely leave them off. The arms rotate out, which seems almost comical to have a look at Blue doing that. And then the arms rotate all the way around. And the head, rather interesting, the head hinges up and down, and it's got a ball joint. So not only can it rotate back and forth, but you can also hinge it up and down. And as we've already discussed, the mouth does open and close. This kind of gives you everything I think you need for a Blue. The battle damage is, of course, just the icing on the cake, but you get a nicely detailed Blue. It's unfortunate, again, that it gets a little bleached out in the tail area, but I really think this is a nice Blue to pick up if you want just a Blue in your collection. And if you've watched enough of these videos, by now you know what we're going to be doing next. We're going to open up our Jurassic World app that I've got for my Samsung S7 phone, and I'm going to go into Scan. Taking the code on the underside of Battle Damaged Blue, let's see what we get here and see if we can unlock yet another Velociraptor. Now it says dinosaur already collected, but it now counts out 3. So we've got essentially 3 Velociraptor Blues. It seems almost pointless, really, as to why we would unlock 3 of the exact same dinosaur. But sure enough, if you go into Collection, and we'll scroll down here, let's see. Well, we got 1, 2, and 3. We got 3 Velociraptor blues. It almost, again, doesn't seem necessary. Let's go in and have a look and see if any of the new information has been added. In the film, she communicates with her pack using an array of different calls. I think that is unique. In the film, she hunts larger dinosaurs working in a well-coordinated pack. And lastly, an adult weighs 130 pounds, about the size of an average person. It's interesting that 130 pounds is the size of an average person, but I don't know of anybody that's 130 pounds. At least males that are 130 pounds, probably like double that. I still say my favorite of the 3 blues, based on its design and paint, is the leaping one that came with Owen. I think that one overall is a nicer looking blue. Unfortunately, it does have the gimmick, which kind of is the detriment to it being the perfect blue. This one is the best, I think, upright version that still has posability where it needs to have. The attack pack version of blue just didn't have as much posability as the packaging would tout. I think this is the better one to go with. And it's always fun that you've got the battle damage to go and play with as well. I also appreciate the fact that Mattel would have not had a panel that's simply removed, and something you could lose, as we've seen with a lot of the Jurassic Park toys of yesteryear. Yes, yesteryear. Those had panels that you could remove and ultimately lose along the way. So you always had your dinosaurs always damaged. This is a much more compact, easier way to store the panel by simply having it slide into the underbelly of the dinosaur, and you still get the benefit of being able to fix up the dinosaur and damage it again. And that would be a very hard thing for you to do, because nobody's God. Don't play God with a species. But I guess that's really what the Jurassic Park movies are all about. Playing God with a species that was extinct and never should have been resurrected. But again, I'm going to keep those opinions to the movie itself. Loving the look of blue. Paint's not quite perfect on this, but I think for what you get, and the fact it's a standalone dinosaur, it's one of the better ones to pick up if you want to get a Velociraptor blue. Today, though, we were having a look at the battle-damaged Velociraptor blue. We were also looking at Doritos blue. The steak Doritos, that is. So I essentially got 2 reviews done in one video. There you go. I can now check those off of my list. To check off your list that you've subscribed to this channel, make sure you hit that little subscribe button down below. How's that for a segue? Also, make sure you head over to the main page after you've done this video and see if there's any reviews that I've posted as of late that you may have missed out on. Of course, the bell notification can go a long way to ensure that the content I'm putting out there is being seen by you guys. But apparently, I've heard from some viewers that that bell notification still doesn't fix the problem at hand, and that is with all the videos being viewed by you guys, make them completely 100% visible. So a way around this is, of course, heading over to my main page after you watch these videos and scroll down the videos section, see if there's any reviews you missed along the way. I always like reading new comments in old videos, and for new videos, we're going to have a look at some more Jurassic Park and Jurassic World toys, so stay tuned for those, and of course other videos coming your way as well. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.